Everybody, welcome back to Trial and Error. And today's an exciting day for me. We're going to be starting off a pretty major build project here with this 86 Buick Grand National clone. It's not a real Grand National. I wouldn't tear down a real Grand National. They're too rare to do that to. But this is just a Buick Regal that has got the Grand National dress-up kit, we'll say, on it. Pretty cool car, has always been on my list of things that someday I wanted to build. G-body, I love the Monties and I love the Grand National. I like the Grand National a little bit more than the Monties. So I ended up picking this guy up last fall, and I wasn't even ready to start this project, obviously back in the fall. But I wanted it, I had to have it because it had some things done to it already that made this thing that much closer already to where I needed to go. So before we get too far into this though, I gotta do a shameless plug here. I watched, don't worry, I watched a guy do this on YouTube. So these shirts are available in my merch store. I got the logo on the back. Pretty cool looking shirt, available in any color that is on the website, which is a lot of them. So appreciate, some of these have already been selling and I haven't really even drawn any attention to them yet. So thank you all for that support. It really helps to pay for wacky ass projects like this. So what we have here, as I said, it was an 86 Buick Grand National. That's really just a Regal run-of-the-mill car. It has already got a LS swap in it. So what the gentleman put into this car was a 6.0 LS swap iron block. Those engines are just awesome. They love boost. They can take a lot of it and put down some serious numbers. So that's what I intend to do. So right now my plan is to do like a super budget twin turbo build. This is just to be fun. It's not gonna go to shows. It's not gonna compete professionally. I just wanna go to the track and lay down a scary fast time. And I wanna do it safely, so we're gonna put a cage in it. We're gonna put 5-point harnesses in it. We're gonna do all the safety stuff to make sure I'm doing it safely. But as far as the build goes, we are doing this super cheap. So how cheap can I build a hopefully less than 10-second car? I'm hoping I can get into the 9s with it. If it ends up in the 10s, I'll be happy with that too, but I'd really like to get into the 9s with it, and I'd love to see if I can pull the front wheels off the ground. So those are kind of my loose goals, and we're doing it, like I said, on a budget. So wherever I can cut a corner that isn't going to affect safety, we're going to cut it. Probably going to use the Chinese eBay turbos. Well, let's see how they go. And if they're not great, I can always replace them with some precision turbos or something like that down the line. But right now, I just want to get behind the wheel of something that goes scary fast. So that's what we're going to do. So I built a number of cars over the years. And I'll show you, my most recent one was a 67 Mustang that I did a complete rebuild of. And it came out phenomenal. The car was a blast, and it sold for some really good money. I did well with that car. But I built that probably 8 years ago now. So I have not really built a car in 8 years. So I'm a little rusty. As we go through this, if you've got ideas or you know a lot about this type of stuff and you see something that I'm not doing right, or you have an idea about something that would make it better, please throw them down in the comments. I'll be happy to take that constructive criticism any day. We're going to be doing a lot of things to this car that I have experience in terms of modifying the rear end. I'm going to build the whole back half of the chassis. You're going to tub the rear end. We're going to do a lot of major changes. The body's coming off the frame. We're going to build this thing from the ground up and do it right. But with that said, like everything in life, I am a master of nothing. I just know a little bit about a lot of things. So some of you are masters at certain things, and feel free to share that knowledge. I'm happy to take it. So it's already got the engine that I wanted, already done, the swap's done, and the guy that did the work on it did a really nice job. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be saving a lot of his work. I'm going to save some of it, but a lot of it's going to have to go based on the power numbers that we're going to be looking to hit. So it has a LS3, and behind it is a 4L60 transmission, which is a mint low miles. It's a low miles engine too. I think it had 50 or 60,000 miles on it. But the 4L80 or 4L60 trans is not going to hold up to the power levels. I mean, it could do it, but probably once, and then it'd be game over. So that trans has got to go. I'm right now kind of debating whether to go to a 4L80 or just to go to a Power Glide and be done with it. I think we're probably going to end up going to a Power Glide, just for reliability. Those transmissions are just made to scoot down the quarter mile. Rear end that's in it is a wide open diff, so obviously that's gone. It's also horribly geared. If I were to drive it as is, the gearing is terrible on it. It has no guts right out of the hole, and then once you come up in the revs to about 3 grand, it'll burn the tires and just bake them right off of it. So I think this motor puts out like 400 horse, so it's got some power, but the gearing ratio that's in it is just horrible. But all of that's going to be gone. And what I bought it for were the bones. So the important parts are solid. The car is solid. The doors are rough, but the chassis, the floors, all of that stuff under it, nice and solid. And that's hard to find nowadays, especially up here in the Northeast. Everything's a rot box. This car is solid, so that's key. It's got the right motor, that's key. First steps here are gonna be just starting the disassembly. So I am gonna pull the body right off the frame. This does have a full frame under it, so we're gonna pull that body off. That way I can clean up the body. That way I can clean up the frame. I've built a number of cars over the years, and I've done some, I guess, pretty crazy things, some pretty crazy builds. So I'll show you what some of those look like right now. So we'll start with an 87 Mitsubishi Mighty Max, and I did a complete frame off resto on this. Did an air system, as you see, air ride all 4 corners. It would drag frame, pretty awesome truck. Moving on to another Nissan. This was a Pathfinder. I drove it home with that frame. It was out of control, so did a full rebuild on that from the frame up. Lifted it up, very custom interior, had a bed in the back with TVs in the walls, and just actually that's still under construction there, but it's a pretty crazy truck, all velvet velour interior, but it ended up being an awesome truck. There's another Nissan. I like the old Nissans, so a little lift kit in that one, some tires on it. That was one of my first trucks. I think that was my first truck I ever bought there. Caddy sitting on 20s, back when 20s were a big deal. There's a S10, slowest truck in the world, on 20s when 20s were a big deal. That thing was dangerously slow. It was pretty funny. 99, let's see, I don't remember what that is. Oh, that's my pickup. That's another Nissan pickup. Nice custom dash did on that one. What else? Probably the most expensive car I ever had, believe it or not, was a Chevy Cavalier. That car had a good $50,000 worth of equipment in it and customization. I lost a fortune on that car, but I had so much fun with it. It was a blast. That was my first real nice car, and I put way too much money into that thing, but it was cool for the day, you know, back in the day. That's my history, and now we're going to put all that experience to work and build one hell of a hot rod. The paint looks good from about 20 feet away. When you're up close, you can tell the paint is screwed, and the paint finish is just horrible. But again, it looks good from far, but it is far from good. Not worried about it. We're gonna strip it all down. So in terms of the interior, it's got a nice dash in it. It's got the Grand National, you know, logos and all of that stuff. It has a Dakota Digital setup, VHX, with a Dakota Digital dash. Really nice stuff. What's in here right now is a factory ECM, and he's using the HP Tuner software to make that all work. Seats, they're Grand National seats, but they gotta go. I would not want to be sitting in something this bouncy going that fast, and you know, everything we need to do this part safely. I haven't decided whether I want to do a total strip on the interior and just do aluminum panels. I think we may end up going that route. I'm going to try to shave a little bit of weight off the car as best we can, but still make it streetable. I don't want it to be a full-on drag car, although we're going to be a lot closer to a drag car than we are to a street car when it's all said and done. So again, super excited to share this project with you all, and I'm really excited to hear what you have for thoughts, tips, tricks, and things like that, now that you kind of know where I want to go with this car. So first step, as far as I'm concerned now, is just going to be stripping. So we're going to take the front end off this thing, we're going to separate the body from the chassis, we're going to put that up in the air, and we're going to start with our chassis work first. Probably start with the rear end and at least start the process there of kind of making myself some custom rear frame rails that are going to allow us to really tub that rear end and put some sick meat on the back of this thing. That's going to be step number one. As you saw, I took basically the whole front end off the car, and it's not just for access. We can pull a motor without taking any of that stuff off. But my thought process is on these old 80s cars, there is a ton of weight up front here and a ton of steel. So I want to get rid of that as much as possible. So I think what I'm going to do is build my own fabricated tubular front end that we're going to mount all of the normal front end stuff that came with the car onto it, including the fenders and all that stuff. We'll make mounting points, but instead of tying into that big steel body, we're just going to tie right into my own steel tubular front end. And what that allows us to do is to take probably a good 2 feet here from the front of the bumper mount to the accessory drive and put in a massive intercooler, have plenty of room for turbos. It just cuts out a lot of that factory crap that we don't need in order to go fast like Ricky Bobby. I want to go fast. So I've disconnected the body mounts all the way around. So in the next video, we're going to pull the body up off the frame. We'll start on that back half. I'm going to try to see if I can score myself the poor man's Ford 9-inch rear. It's an 8.8. You're found in Explorers. It's a limited slip diff, and they are super stout. So we're going to see if I can score one of those and figure out what I want to do for a 4-link setup. But as always, throw down in the comments any ideas that you might have and things that you think might help. Be happy to listen in and take your guys' advice. As always, I've got a couple of videos here that you might want to check out. Make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss any updates on this. But this should be a pretty fun build. It's going to be interesting to see how fast we can go for short money on an old G-body. And either way, it's just going to be fun to watch, I'm sure. So appreciate you guys watching. As always, thank you very much, and have a great day.